The role of the public cloud platforms in the telecom sector is growing stronger every month. So to discuss some of the recent major developments in this area, I'm talking today with Danielle Royston, founder and CEO at TelcoDR. So Danielle, you've had a busy summer, including your involvement at MWC 21. What were the key takeaways for you from Barcelona?
Well, I think number one, the public cloud has arrived in telco. I think this last quarter, the June quarter, a lot of announcements have come out, culminating with MWC 21 actually taking place. And I was really happy that I had the opportunity to take over the Ericsson space, put in Cloud City, and really bring together a bunch of vendors. And so I think that the big takeaway is public cloud has arrived in telco. It's the year of the public cloud, 2021.
Well, the past few months have seen further evidence of meaningful telco engagement with the public cloud, including ongoing developments at Dish, which, as we previously discussed, is rolling out its network with AWS, and also Bell Canada with Google Cloud, as well as AT&T's enhanced relationship with Azure. So what should we read into such relationships?
Yeah, I think it really started with Dish and their announcement at the beginning of the quarter that they were going to move their 5G core onto AWS. I think people didn't think that that was possible. Didn't think it would happen this early. I realized that they are building a new network, and so Greenfield gives you a lot more flexibility. But they're doing everything cloud native, and they're using and really relying on the CapEx expenditure that AWS has invested in to their benefit. And so I think, obviously, I'm not looking under that hood. I don't know exactly how they're deploying everything, but this is a lot of what I talk about. That I think telcos can really leverage the hyperscalers' investment in building ubiquitous data centers that are carrier grade and transfer some of that big CapEx onto those guys and use it. And so Dish, I think, is something to watch. I think also Rakuten just made an announcement with I think it was 1&1 in Germany, also a very similar situation to Dish, where they are building a greenfield network, but in that case, they're building a private cloud. Both are using Open RAN. Both of these guys are deploying their network on using Open RAN, but they're using ones, in the case of Dish, they're using public cloud, and in the case of Rakuten, private cloud. So I think this will be really interesting to watch these two deployments unfold and see which one is more successful and lower cost.
Absolutely. So the 1&1 network in Germany is some way off, but Dish is in the final stages of its pre-commercial launch. How important will this launch be to the industry in general, given the nature of the network and the service market that it's going into?
Yeah, I think their first city is Vegas. I think there's two ways we can kind of see the differences. I think by exposing a tech stack at the edge that is AWS native makes it easy for enterprises to select Dish. And so I think that's one way we can tell if the Dish play is working. And I think the second way is their ability to offer lower cost plans for consumers. And so I think city by city, obviously quality matters if they're able to deliver a quality experience using this new tech. But I think the second way is just commercially, our enterprises adopting them faster and easier, our consumers enjoying lower prices. I think those are a couple ways that we can externally validate if this bet is working for Charlie and crew over at Dish.
So obviously, once those services launch, Dish is going to be competing with the incumbent operators like AT&T. And AT&T, of course, is working with public cloud players as well. And its engagement with Microsoft Azure is also 5G related, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think AT&T and the Azure relationship has been around for, maybe 2-3 years, but they also made an announcement this last quarter, and they announced the selling, I guess the acquisition by Microsoft of their network cloud. Now it was interesting because everyone sort of took their press releases. They were moving their 5G core onto Azure later in their earnings call. They backtrack and clarify that. But I think they're really planning to use transfer network cloud over to Azure. They said that they would start moving their workloads over to Azure over the next, I think it was 3 years, and really start to use Azure at the edge. And so this is an incumbent vendor, a little bit harder for them to go whole hog like Dish on the public cloud, but they're beginning their journey. I mean, it's been going on for a couple of years, but now I guess pressure at least to announce it, and now saying, hey, take our network cloud. You guys know how to run this better than we can, and we're going to transfer all of that and focus on our business. So I think that's another really encouraging sign that even the biggest telcos are beginning to adopt the public cloud, and so I think telcos up and down can use this. The smaller guys can use it. I think it's a really cost-effective way to get some great tech without having to build it yourself. But even the guys that could afford to build it themselves are saying, "Hey, hyperscalers, you guys run the plumbing. Let us focus on our customers and provide a great experience. Focus on the quality of our network. Focus on what I like to talk about all the time, which is customer love, and let's see it." So I think that was another really great announcement, again, happening in this last Q2 of 2021.
And of course, there's a lot of activity in the US market, but it's happening elsewhere as well. And north of the border, Bell Canada is starting to lean on Google Cloud's capabilities.
Yeah, of the three hyperscalers, Google announced the most growth this last quarter. I think it was quarter over quarter, 54% growth, whereas Amazon slowing down at a meaty 37%. I think you look at these numbers at their run rate. I think AWS's run rate is like $60 billion. Yeah, I take a run rate of $60 billion and 37% growth any day. But Google and Thomas Kurian are really focusing on telco. And even though they're the smallest of the three, they're growing the biggest. And of course, they signed that big deal with Bell Canada, again, deploying at the edge. I think what's interesting here is that they made a point to announce Anthos, which is the edge offering for Google Cloud. It's a little bit different than Wavelength and Outpost over at AWS, which is a fully managed stack. Literally, AWS puts a rack in your data center, and you can leverage the services of AWS. Anthos is similar, but you provide the rack, you provide the hardware, and then it gives you can connect it to their cloud. So again, everyone's kind of going at it a little bit different way. It's kind of like beta versus VHS, which is the right hyperscaler? What's the right combination? Do I go multi-cloud and pick a couple of vendors? Do I go big on one? And so the big guys are making their moves, and I think a lot of people in telco should be paying attention to what they're picking, how they're deploying, how much they're moving. But I think people are this is really starting to get a lot of traction, and I'm really excited about it.
Now, of course, edge computing is, of course, one of the key capabilities bringing telcos and public cloud players together. And we're seeing that too with Verizon's expanding relationship with AWS in the US market.
Yeah, so Amazon announced 3 new wavelength cities, Chicago, Houston, and Phoenix. They did a joint announcement with Verizon, who plans to use those wavelength cities. And so I think telcos are really starting to understand that at the edge, it makes a lot of sense. Again, you have this opportunity to expose a public tech stack to which enterprises can code against. And since enterprises outside of telco have already really selected and have adopted the public cloud internally with their own IT departments, it makes it very easy for them to code against a public cloud tech stack versus typically what we've seen before, where telcos have exposed a proprietary tech stack. And so that means the list's a little bit harder for these IT departments. They got to learn how to use it. They got to understand the technology. But when Verizon, when Dish, now AT&T, Bell Canada, I think Vodafone in Europe as well, Telefonica, I think, are exposing now this public tech stack that enterprises can code against. I think it really makes it, the VP of enterprise sales within these telcos is a little bit easier to sell, right? Like, you guys are already using it internally, Mr. IT department. at a potential customer, why don't you just code against our tech stack? It's the same thing. So I think Verizon's realizing that. And so there's a lot of chatter around using the public cloud at the edge. I think there's a lot more opportunities. It's not just about the edge. I think you can also use it back in your IT departments for all of your thousands of applications that need to be, that are legacy and old and need to be refactored, and you want to add analytics and machine learning to an AI to your applications. I think it's just going to spread like wildfire, and it's obviously what I talk about all the time. I'm really excited about it because I think it's obvious. I think it's inevitable. I think it's coming. I don't see many vendors kind of going 2 feet in on this idea. Everyone's still hedging their bets. And obviously, with my launch of TelcoDR, I'm 2 feet in on the public cloud. And I think that's where we're going. And I'm building everything I can to support telcos in this move.
Absolutely, that's very clear. And obviously, as the months go on, we'll see the use cases and the economics of public cloud use by telcos become more exposed, and the whole industry will learn more and more. Well, Danielle, as usual, great to talk to you, and look forward to catching up with you again soon. Thanks for joining us.
It's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much, Ray.